I guess it's safe to say here, though, there was a lot of uncertainty at this point, and it was paired with a souring relationship between you and Tully and JCP's management at this point, right?
I was back at, other than having my own gripes, my own individual gripes, which I did, I was still going to back up my partner. If he was leaving, I was going to leave with him.
There you go.
Because that's how tight we were, you know.
Gotcha. So September 7th is here. It's the third Clash of Champions, and it takes place from Albany, Georgia. And the main event of the show was Sting versus Barry Windham. Arn, you, Tully, and Rick were not even on that show. The company is going through so much turmoil at this point, but the administration left three of the most important wrestlers off the card. What are your thoughts as you kind of think about that now? You're not even on Clash of the Champions 3, the three of you.
How does that even happen?
How does that even happen? Exactly.
I can't reason as to why that made sense in somebody's head. All I could tell you, how does that even happen? Because it's so far-fetched.
Speaking of poor planning and preparation for a major event here on Jim Crockett Promotions' part, where they're leaving major players off the show, it resulted in a less than optimal outcome for the company. Arn, no one wants to get knocked on their ass by life's hardest hits. Arn, this is it. We need to speak about it. It is September 9th at the Sam Houston Coliseum. 3,000 people watched you and Tully fight the Midnight Express to a double DQ in a match second from the top. Now, as you've shared on the second episode of this show, what follows became the tipping point. You just alluded to it as we talked. You and Tully, you tear the house down with the Midnights. Following the match, you were told you were going to wrestle UWF stalwart Dr. Death, and you were to lose in 4 minutes. Now, Arn, you're on record putting Doc over, talent, strength, and ability, summing it all up that he was all man. But if I have this correct, you and Tully burned the house down with Stan and Bobby only for you to go out and get beaten up by the Doctor. Is that correct?
Yep. And it had nothing to do with Doc. It just had to do with the fact that we gave the Midnight Express what the audience had paid to see, and that's the match that sold the tickets all over the country. Just look at the numbers. We went out and we fought those guys tooth and nail, and we got that angle and that match over. To me, to turn around and go out and get beat a few matches later, I didn't ask why. It wasn't my reason to ask why, but it tipped me over the top. It just made no sense, and it shit all over the Midnight Express. We had just fought those guys for 20-some minutes, dead even, and now a guy just comes out, and basically it was just an enhancement match.
So to be clear for you, after a tumultuous year, you're finally done. Arn, tell our listeners the thought process on how the call to Barry Darsow and subsequently Vince McMahon went down.
Basically, Tully, I guess, would have taken a commercial flight to Philly that morning. But when I came back, he said, man, I just remember, he said, this bullshit. It was like I should have been the one fussing at him about what just happened, but he was fussing at me. He said, man, this is bullshit. This is just getting worse and making no sense. He said, let's get out of here. So I said, okay. When I get to Philly, I'll call Barry Darsow, and we'll see what's going on. Barry had sent me, during the course of the time he first started there, in the course of probably a year and a half, 2 years, he had sent me a couple of messages. Vince would really like to have you guys. If you ever decide you want to leave, he'd really like to have you guys. Well, that night I called him and I said, I know this is kind of abrupt. We're ready. No shit. Okay. I'll get back in touch with you. Stay by the phone. So I stayed by the phone. In about 10 minutes, he called back. He said, you and Tully will have tickets at the airport at whatever time it was, 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. or something. You'll fly to Newark or whatever airport it was. Vince will have a limo there to pick you up. He's going to bring you to his house and talk to you guys. You're all set. Okay, when Tully got in the next morning, he had already had a message from me from the night before. I found out where he was staying. And I called him as soon as he got there. I want to say it might have been 11 o'clock because he had to have time to fly and get there. It was like maybe 11 a.m. We're supposed to fly to Newark or wherever it was. And we went down to Vince's pool and sat around. He had lunch for us. And he had a unparalleled way of making you feel good about yourself in those days. He knew all the facts, figures, numbers, knew everything about your career, the whole thing. And basically just when we left there, we were floating off the ground. And he said, you know, our one question was to him, hey, you know, I know you don't do guaranteed contracts. He said, no, I don't. We just kind of figure what kind of a spot do you have for us. He said, what did you make last year? We told him. He said, I'll guarantee you'll make more than that. Yeah, my word. Well,
that had to feel good. Yeah.
Well, yeah, everything was handshake deals, and in those days. So we went back, went to the Marriott, and killed whatever time we had. And when we got to the building, about an hour beforehand, we went in. And I think it was probably just me. I don't really remember if Tully went in with me, but I went in, knocked on Dusty's door, and went in, just went, hey, this is the hardest conversation I've ever had. I appreciate everything you've done for me and my family, but we're going to turn in our notice. And he's just kind of staring a hole through me like disbelief. I said, I'll put Bobby over. I'll do the honors to Bobby with that leg drop off the top. Not a problem. 1, 2, 3 in the middle. But we're going to finish up tonight. Okay. And I walked out, and we kind of found a locker room to ourselves, and we stayed there till time to go to the ring. And we went out and had our match, and did what I said I would do, and that finished us up. What a pop when Bobby got that 1, 2, 3.